Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do a bit of an extension on what we did the other day with the angel light install. So basically today I've got a set of headlights right behind me that we've got in for a customer. We're going to be splitting them open, blacking out the entire insides, and then we're going to install a 90mm set of Morimoto. Then we're going to be setting a then we're going to be installing a 90mm set of Morimoto switchback angel eyes. Basically we're just going to run you through the process from scratch, so we'll get going.
Alrighty, so what you'll need is what we've got here. So we've got obviously the headlights themselves right here. These are Evo X projector MR depot headlights, and we brought these over for the customer. That's the kind of style that he wanted. Basically we'll be splitting this off, blacking out everything you see that's silver in here, blacking all this out, and going from there. We might even nightshade just a slight tint over the indicator. Obviously we still want people to be able to see when we're indicating and where we're going, but just for appearances is what we might be trying to do. And then over here what you'll need is some sandpaper, just some fine grit. I think what we got is 320 here, but we've got everything up to 1200 and plus here. So that's just what we got here. And then the XSB LED switchbacks from Morimoto right here. So that's be the 90mm angel eyes we'll be using. The design that the customer has requested is again the D shape, but this time we've got the right size angel. So we'll be cutting into the plastic trim here and hiding part of it on a 45-degree angle into the actual plastics. And then we've got obviously our paint as well, which is just some enamel, just some satin black, and then the Flexi Prime adhesion promoter as well. The other thing I suggest that you look at getting is just keeping some old caps off some paint that you've previously used. So once you're done with the can, you throw it out. Keep the caps, because the caps can be used to hold screws, and what we've done here is we've actually obviously labelled it for the type of screw that we'll be using for whatever we're doing. But yes, that's realistically all you need besides of course a screwdriver, and we'll be using a heat gun to split these open, not an oven because we don't have access to one. So a heat gun is what we'll be using. Pretty sure that's really all you need, screwdriver, heat gun, yeah.
Now it is quite late in the day, it's about 4 PM here, so I won't be getting it all done today, but I thought I'd just get started on it. We're trying to get it done as quickly as we can for the customer, of course. So basically we'll be get going in it soon. I'll show you what to do step by step and how we do it here. Hopefully you learn a thing or two so you can do it yourself. Alrighty, so first things first, basically what we'll be doing is we'll be attacking all the screws on the exterior of the clear cover here. There'll be a bunch of clips that we also have to make sure that we unclip before we start separating. After we've taken all the screws out, we'll be putting them into our little paint caps as well to keep them safe. As I said, I'll be doing this over a few days, so the last thing you want is to be losing screws halfway through your process. So I'm going to attack the front screws here first, get them all off, and then we'll get the clips off, and then we'll start heating up and separating it.
Alright, so there's only a few handful of screws. There's one here in the corner down here. There is one over here at this corner. One here at the very end, and there's one more under here as well. So that's it for the screws. Now next that we'll do is we'll start to heat up. We'll do the heating process. This is where people get obviously scared away. It is a delicate process. It's not something I recommend rushing, but it's definitely doable with a heat gun, and you can do it quite. We've done it and hardly deformed or any of the headlights. You just have to take your time, be patient, and think about it. Like if you're gonna just heat up one side, you can't expect all of it to pop off if you've only heated this side, because obviously it's still cold and tacky on this side. So you have to heat up evenly. You have to keep it far away enough of the plastic that you're not melting the actual headlight itself, but you have to keep it close enough that you're getting to the glue that's underneath. So it is a delicate process, but if you take your time and make sure you're concentrating, it'll be fine.
Alrighty, so obviously these are brand new. We've got the cover here. I'm going to pull this off so it doesn't shrink wrap onto the headlight casing, but I'm going to keep it because I'm going to put it back onto it once we've pulled it off. Get out of the way. Alrighty, now the delicate process is here. So this is where we have to heat up around all the edges quite evenly, making sure we pop each clip off as we go to that selected area. I usually like to start at the biggest end here first, and then heat up here, and then work my way down on both sides, and then finally ending up heating up down here. This is a small surface area, and often we can find that by the time we've heated all this up, that this is almost just as tacky just from the heat that it's copped from the other sides. So I'm going to begin up this corner and see how we go. Alrighty, now I feel like I've heated up this side enough evenly that I'm going to start to pry it away. So what I do is I very carefully get an old flathead screwdriver here, and I will just slightly pry it away from each kind of edge You can't just yoink, otherwise you'll literally, because the plastic's so hot right now, it will just mold around it and you'll completely stuff up your seal. So you have to do it carefully, get it in there, kind of peel it away a little bit more each time. Start to get the gun in there a little bit and heat it between the glue. You'll see the glue start to pull away as it gets hot. So just kind of work your way around doing that really carefully and taking your time as always. Alrighty, you'll find that once you've heated it up enough that you'll actually be able to start to pull it apart and separate it from the glue. This is where we're going to now. See, we're starting to pry it a little bit here. You can, I don't know if it's getting that in focus, but we can start to pry it off a little bit. So I'm going to heat up around the edges still until I can completely separate that. So what you can see now, as you can see, it's starting to separate, as you can see there. So I'm going to run the heat gun down all the edges now and continue on with what I'm doing, and hopefully soon it'll just be popping off. And basically what we have to do now is just pull. I've previously heated this glue up to a fair extent, and you can see it's starting to just pull away super easy. Take your time. If it's really getting caught somewhere, all you have to do is simply grab the gun, heat up the stringy bits. There we go. And it is as simple as that. And now we've got the two pieces here. So, just to prove to you, if you take your time and stuff, you can see if you go around all the edges, if I can focus in here. Here we go, so we're focusing in now. You can see around all the edges that not only have we got all the clips, but you can see that the edging is actually hardly being touched. As you can see, there's no like big bows or anything of any of the screwdriver marks. All the clips are still intact. So as you can see through here, I'm just showing you all the seal. So you can see the seal is still, I should say the channel is still pretty much intact and hardly being touched, and ready to be resealed once we're ready. So everything that I pull out, I'm going to put into this blue cup here. You can label them. I suggest labeling them if it's the first time doing it. But I usually I've done enough times that I can remember where each screw goes. Just be really careful using a drill. Again, I suggest usually using a screwdriver. But again, I've done that many times and I don't want to be wasting valuable time with just unscrewing everything by hand. Alrighty, so for the first shroud, try and get it here. So for the first shroud, which is this grey part here, there's 4 screws. There's one down here in the bottom corner, and then there is one in this corner, and one more at the top up here. So once you remove those 3 screws here, and then the 4th one I usually do at the same time is the one for the indicator, which is just above it. And once you've done it, you can pull the grey shroud off and we can go. Alrighty, now that we've got the grey shroud off, the only ones that are left to take off now is the silver shrouds. These ones are relatively easy, especially this, the high beam one. Sorry, indicator one. We don't usually paint this because it is behind the plastic shroud attached to that. So we actually, if we were to do anything, we'd actually nightshade slightly that shroud cover. But for the actual itself, we don't usually touch because we want, at the end of the day, optimum indicator levels for obviously people to see where you're intending to go. So what we do though is with this shroud, we'll completely black out everything that's silver. Once you remove, I'll show you. As far as how to remove this one is where we have to actually touch the height adjustment and everything. So basically, to get that silver shroud out, we have to take that out, this bolt here, and that bolt here. Once we've unscrewed that, that will actually allow the whole thing to just fall away. That is also the leveling system for these lights as well. Alrighty, now I should also mention I usually remove all the wiring as well, which I'm about to hit now. Now there's this little box here, basically we have to also take this out. Alrighty, so there's a couple of clips that you can see. Just
get a thin screwdriver and pop those off. Now unfortunately I couldn't do this on camera because I need both hands, but we have this little thing here, which as you can see, if you can see that ball joint thing here, basically that's what we pulled out. I couldn't do it on camera because I needed both hands, and it would come out of, there's a little hole in there. It's not going to focus for me, I don't think. But basically you have to kind of, so basically that hole in there that you can see, that was what that was popping out of. So that's what you need to try and, is trying to pop that out. But yeah, basically that's what we need to do. And now that that's been popped out, it's all good, and you can see it's all clear. We just take these two, loosen these two off. Now these are actually reverse thread. So you're actually going to want to tighten it. How you would normally tighten something, but it'll actually be loosening and removing the shroud off. So tighten those up on both sides, and that'll be it. Alrighty, so now that we've taken out the two bolts, we will remove the shroud. So there we go. So that's the shroud and the projector and everything else. Yeah, so now basically the next thing that we'll be doing is we'll be removing, if I can focus in, there we go. This lighter grey we'll be removing from the chrome, because obviously we want to paint the chrome, but we don't want to paint any of the important stuff in the back because that is not good. Sweet, alright, so we've got the shroud. Now I want to try and get it so you can see. So this is what we've got, and this is what we'll be trying to pull apart now. There'll be a bunch of screws in the back here. Don't even get them in focus. There'll be a couple here, a couple on the bottom here, and a couple around the edges of the projector. Basically we have to remove all those, which will then separate the grey plastic from the chrome, and that'll be it for that part. So that's it. So there was a total of 4 screws. One there, one there, one there, one there. Again, I'll put them in a bucket to the side. And this is what we have left. So this is our projector and high beam setup. Basically, we're going to be pulling this off. Normally, if you're not going to be painting this, you don't need to. But because the client has requested this to be blacked as well, we'll be pulling it off. To remove this, we've only got a couple of screws here. We have to take the setup off here as well. So to take this off, we need to be taking these screws out, and then it'll just literally pop off like the grey separator from the chrome. So very easy, very simple. It's just removing screws at this stage. Alrighty, and that is one headlight done. Now we've just got everything we're going to be painting here.